On today's call, I want to cover the topic that I'm sure many of us are familiar with out there. And the topic is that your scale lies to you. And I want to take it beyond the scale on today's call and show you how we can utilize advancements in body composition technology to understand if the lifestyle changes that you are implementing with the hopes of losing weight are working. And so many of you out there, if you're on this call, are people who are interested in being healthy and getting healthier and continuing to pursue optimal. And so if you're doing that, my mantra is weight loss is a side effect of getting healthy. And so in the pursuit of health, you're going to, if you're a little overweight, you're going to lose weight. If you're a little underweight, you're going to gain weight. So rather than focusing on the scale, I encourage people to focus on getting healthy, and then your body weight is going to go where it wants to be from a health standpoint. But that's easy to say, but that doesn't undo the decades of brainwashing we've all had from mainstream media and basically every angle in our lives, making us focus on scale and weight and beauty and all of that. And so there's probably some people on the call who have gone through care with me or not with me, but have implemented healthy lifestyle changes with the goal of losing weight. And although they've become healthier, they haven't lost weight per their scale. And these people can be very frustrated. I've had them in my office crying in front of me. One lady I talk about in my book in chapter 9, she sat in front of me and she said, I boot camp 6 days a week. I've done keto for 3 months perfectly, and I haven't lost a pound. My husband did it, and he cheated, and that a-hole lost 25 pounds. So the women out there might be familiar with this. Men lose the weight easier, even though they aren't as committed or disciplined as the women oftentimes. And so in that instance, and with that patient, as I describe in my book, and that book's called The Autoimmune Answer. If you're not familiar, you can find that on Amazon. But in chapter 9, I talk about how even though keto, most people would agree keto is a healthy diet to follow. In general, for her, that wasn't the right strategy. And in the book, I describe how we figured out what the right strategy for her is, and she lost 30 pounds in 3 months with me. And so, if you're implementing healthy strategies and you're not losing weight, there's more on the table that we can investigate. And that's what this slide's about. So if you've tried everything and you're not losing a pound, then maybe there's more to everything than diet and exercise, right? Or maybe there's not more that you need to do, but maybe you're overtraining from an exercise standpoint and you're implementing the wrong nutritional strategy for you specifically, right? So that keto diet that everyone in general would agree is healthy for you isn't the right one. And so if you're doing that, then you're going to be like that patient in my book, and you're not going to lose weight, and you may be frustrated and crying in front of me. So we need to figure out what the stick in the spokes is for that individual or for you. And oftentimes a misunderstanding or something that you never learned is that there's two kinds of fat. And this picture shows them both. And there's one hand grabbing each kind. And so the hand that's grabbing the buttocks, that hand is grabbing subcutaneous fat. And subcutaneous fat is healthy fat. That is, that's the glutes, that's the buttocks, that's the breast tissue. That is fat that is there on the body, but it's metabolically inert pretty much, okay? Whereas the other hand is grabbing the fat around the waist, or the belly fat. That's visceral fat around our organs. And that fat is not healthy. That fat is metabolically active and produces what are called adipokines, which adipokines are pro-inflammatory molecules made by adipose tissue or fat tissue. So the more visceral fat we have, or the more fat we have around our organs, around our trunk or our abdomen, the higher the likelihood that we're inflamed, and the higher the risk of metabolic diseases like diabetes, like cardiovascular disease, like inflammatory bowel issues, things of that nature. So if you are someone with a lot of subcutaneous fat around the buttocks and the breasts, if there's a lot of that, certain ethnicities have a lot of that, right? And they could be perceived, if you're judging a book by its cover, as being fat or overweight or obese. But those people may look overweight or fat, but actually be metabolically healthy. And if you want to learn more about that, I've made videos on that, but there's also a great book by the cardiologist William Davis called Wheat Belly, and that's a good one to read to learn more on that. Whereas you might have someone who's skinny fat, right? They have skinny legs and arms, not a lot of subcutaneous fat, but they've got a belly, and they're going to be metabolically less healthy than that person with a lot of subcutaneous fat. So one reason why the scale might not be changing is because you're not burning any fat or the correct amount of fat. Another potential problem or issue, not necessarily a problem, but another reason the scale might not be changing is you might not be losing weight, but you might be losing inches, right? So how many of you have incorporated healthy strategies and the scale hasn't moved at all or much, but you have said, yeah, but my clothes fit better than they have in years? If that's you, then your strategies actually have been successful and you have lost inches, and that's why your clothes feel better than they have in years. And what's happening there is that you are converting fat into muscle tissue, and muscle weighs more than fat. So in so doing, you're not actually changing the number on the scale, but the loss of inches in the way that your clothes are fitting better is a sign to you that you are actually changing your body composition from one of more fat to one of more skeletal muscle mass. So that's a positive. And rather than guess, right? Rather than like guess and or hope that, oh yeah, if your clothes are fitting better, then you are doing good things. That's a good kind of sign or symptom to go by in the office. But I'm biased towards data, and if we can actually use technology and data to look under the hood and show you that you truly are converting fat to muscle, then that's even better, and that can be encouraging for you. And that's what we do in my office. I'm happy to show you a new addition to the office, and this is a medical grade body composition analyzer. And this tool is awesome. It shows you your visceral fat, it shows you your body water, it shows you your percent body fat, your skeletal muscle mass. It shows you this marker called phase angle that in the research is associated with risk of cancer, COVID severity, autoimmune risk, inflammation. It's a really cool marker that you can get without having to stab yourself with a needle to draw blood. So it's a non-invasive way to get a picture of those things, and it can all be done in 60 seconds. And so this is the best way on the market to accurately measure your body composition. Now, you can measure your body composition inaccurately with a lot of tools on the market. And those tools use equations and estimates to get your body composition. This tool does not use any equations or estimates. It measures yours directly, and it does it through bioimpedance, and it does it through multiple contact points and looking at each extremity versus your whole body. And that'll mean more to you in a minute. So I'm excited to show you this technology and show you some scans to help you understand what it does for you and how it can help eliminate your frustration with the lies from the scale, and see that all your hard work, although your body weight total number on the scale may not be changing, you can see the changes in your body composition that you're creating by using this tool. So let's jump over to some reports. All right, so here we are looking at a report from the body composition scanner. And one note I want to make is that there are So this is called an in-body, and this is the medical grade one. There are lower level ones out on the market that you might see at your gym or with a nutritionist, and they do some of these markers, but not all of these markers that I'll show you. And having all of these markers gives you a more complete picture, not just of muscle and fat, but also inflammation, metabolics, visceral fat, phase angle, etc. So let's dive in and help you understand how this could open up your eyes to what's under the hood in a way that's different from labs. Labs show us your physiology and what's going on there. This scan shows us your body composition, and the two go hand in hand. And you'll see that as we go today. So if we start with this top box here, body composition analysis, this is the breakdown of your system in total. So we start with body weight. Okay, so this is a male, 6'1", age 39. Okay, and this male weighs 187. That's the total body weight. That includes his body fat, his skeletal muscle, his bone weight, his water weight, both inside his cells and outside his cells. So if we have the total body weight and then we subtract out how much fat this person has, that leaves us with lean body mass. Okay. And so when you subtract the fat, then you're left with lean body mass, which is bone weight, skeletal muscle weight, water weight. Okay. So from that lean body mass, if we then subtract out dry lean mass, so this person has 45.6 pounds of dry lean mass, then you're left with total body water. All right. And we should be about 75% water, right? So the total amount of water in this person's body, okay, weighs 126 pounds. And that is divided up into water inside his cells, or intracellular water, and water outside his cells, or extracellular water. Okay. And it's normal to have water both inside and outside your cells, right? Water is a conductive material. So our cells are communicating with each other in short range and long range. So we need to be able to have a substance to transfer things in. So we want intracellular and extracellular. Where it can get bad is if you have too much extracellular water. Okay. Too much extracellular water is associated in the research with inflammation, with edema, with swelling, okay, with pathological states. So we don't, or injury. So we don't want to have too much extracellular water. So you might say, well, is this number a good number for this person? That's a good question, and that can be answered if we scroll down here and look at what's called the extracellular versus water rate, the extracellular water to total body water ratio. And this person, their ratio is 0.375. The way that you read this is this box with the down arrow would be too low, this box with the up arrow would be too high, and this box with the dash is the normal range. So you want to be between these two lines. This person is. So this person does not have too much extracellular water. They have a healthy amount. So the answer to the question is this a good level for this person? Would be yes. Okay, and I'll show you a scan in a little bit with someone that doesn't have a good level. Okay, but first let's just understand the lay of the land here. So if we now go down to the next box, it's called the muscle fat analysis. And this shows us body weight, skeletal muscle mass, and body fat mass. Okay, so again, this person weighed 187 pounds, and his skeletal muscle mass makes up almost 99 pounds of his body weight. Okay, and then he has 15 pounds of fat. So if you look at these three bars, you can kind of hallucinate a D shape, right? You see that D shape? So a D shape is a healthy, athletic type of pattern on this. All right. If you see someone else, for example, this scan, and you look at it, and this one's a C shape. Okay, a C shape is the unhealthy version of this pattern, where you have less skeletal muscle and more body fat. And then the third option is an I shape, where essentially all three are in a straight line, and that's a healthy kind of normal or average look. Okay, so I would be average, C shape would be pro-inflammatory, unhealthy, and then the D shape would be more the athletic build. Okay. Next box down, we can look at obesity analysis, and here's where BMI is. And BMI is the term used by conventional medicine to look at your body and how things are going, but BMI is a completely garbage metric. That it judges you based on your body weight divided by your height. Okay, and so it doesn't take into account at all how much of your body weight is fat versus muscle. So you can be called obese when you're actually quite healthy. And that occurred with me when I was in college. I played college football, played wide receiver, and at my peak weight, I was 217 pounds with 10% body fat. But on the BMI scale, I was a 30, so I was considered obese. But the BMI scale didn't take into account my muscle mass, and the muscle mass was, most of my weight. And so without knowing that, just judging me by how much I weighed based on my height, I was obese. Okay. So this is a very bad marker, but it's here because we want to speak the language that conventional medicine speaks, but then we want to go better than that. Okay. So for example, here's an example of the BMI being garbage for an individual. This individual weighs 187, has almost 99 pounds of muscle and only 15 pounds of fat. This person's actual body fat percentage is only 8%. Okay. That's a great body fat percentage, but by BMI, the person's borderline obese. Okay, so that's why BMI doesn't count for us. So we want to know what's your body fat percentage, and that's what we want to track. So this is a lean, healthy, athletic body fat percentage. Okay, if we look at the C-shaped person right here, this person was not lean. Okay, this person is 41% fat. That's actually very unhealthy, pro-inflammatory. Okay, not good. 72 pounds of this person's 175-pound body weight is fat. So that needs to go way down. Look, this person is about 300% fat, or 300%. So it's 100% would be what this person's target should be. Okay, 100%, or the average of someone her age and height. Okay, so she's about 300% what she should be. Okay, so that's unhealthy. And then this person that was I-shaped is good. It's a male, has 17% body fat. Men, we want to be between 18. We want to be around 18, kind of, for the average guy. Just ideally, if you're lower and athletic, that's fine too, but we don't want to be above 25, or a male is considered obese by body fat percentage. All right, moving on. Segmental lean analysis. Here's where this machine is different than all the rest out there, because we're figuring out specific to each appendage how your mass is divided up. So you're comparing right arm to left arm, right leg to left leg, and then the trunk. And so this individual has 11 pounds of muscle, or of lean mass in each arm. So that's muscle, bone, water. Okay. Has 24 pounds of muscle, bone, and water in each leg, and then 80 pounds in the trunk. And is higher than average for all of those. Okay. So again, this 100 level is what would be average for this person's, the population that this person fits for height and age. So this person has more muscle mass in his arms and trunk and legs than average. And that's fine, because muscle mass is healthy and protective. And then over here, we can see right here, earlier we saw the total body extracellular water to total body ratio. His was healthy. If you look at it per arm, trunk, and leg, he's got healthy numbers across each of those as well. If you see these numbers not equivalent, then that could be an issue. And an example of that is right over here. So here's a 74-year-old man that has both lab high extracellular to total body water ratio. So that's suggesting this person has too much extracellular water, which equates to too much inflammation, swelling, edema. So where and why? Okay, this is whole body. If we jump up here, we can figure out where and why. So if we remember, 0.36 to 0.39 is the normal range we want to be in. So 0.40, too high. Well, look, his trunk and legs are high. His arms are fine, but his trunk and legs are lab high for too much water. So what might cause that in the legs? Venous insufficiency is a very common driver. Okay, if you've got issues with your veins in your legs and the valves allow backflow, then it's harder and you're less efficiently pumping fluid out of the legs. So you might have swelling, right? If you stand on your feet all day and your feet are swollen at the end of the day, you might have some venous insufficiency issues or some lymphedema issues. Okay, so that could be valve insufficiency in your veins or lymphatic issues. All right. It could also be that you lack skeletal muscle mass in your legs, and the muscles are what squeeze the veins and help pump the blood up through those valves back to the heart. So this is a 74-year-old male with Parkinson's, and he's not very active, and he doesn't have a lot of leg strength, and so the valves, the sufficiency there isn't great. And this person also has kidney issues, and so poor kidney issues leads to poor fluid issues. And so, that's where this machine can be really cool, is even if you don't have labs, you can detect things that may be going on and send for, say, a Doppler ultrasound of your veins to see if you are having venous insufficiency. We could send him to get his kidneys checked out, run labs on his kidneys, and maybe get some kidney imaging. All right. This person also, look at this. If we look at his arms, his right arm, he only has 7 pounds of muscle. Okay, 7.05. His left arm, he has 7.6. Okay. His right arm, that's only 95% of what he should have versus 100% in the left arm. Now, that might not look like a big difference to you, but it is. And when you look at this patient, he actually has right arm atrophy because he has frozen shoulder. Okay, so this machine again picks up on the imbalance between the lean mass side to side in his arms. And if you're just looking at the paper, you don't know why that's there, but I have the paper and I know the patient. And so the atrophy of his shoulder girdle in his right arm due to his frozen shoulder is what explains the imbalance between lean mass in his right arm versus his left arm. So this is showing us more than body comp. It's showing us your body comp, but then helps us understand what might be going on with different organs and physiologic processes as well. So that's really cool. If we shoot back to our initial example, and up here you have visceral fat area. Okay. Now visceral fat, remember, is the unhealthy fat around your organs in your torso. And so the way that we read this is your age is down on this x-axis, your visceral fat area is on the y, and everyone, no matter what their age, wants to be below this 100 line. Okay, so this person has very little visceral fat, that's very healthy, but this person has very high visceral fat, lab high visceral fat, and that's very unhealthy. Okay, so you can see how this person's picture is coming together. Body weight of 175, 72 pounds of which is fat, equating to 41% body fat, which is way too high, right? 2 times higher than we want a female to be. And 41% body fat is largely made up of visceral fat, which is the pro-inflammatory, unhealthy fat around the organs. So for this person, we really want her to lose fat mass, and we want it to mostly be that around the organs, the visceral fat. Okay, so how is she going to do that? She has to change her lifestyle. She has to implement a functional medicine plan. And that's where, that's where this snaps in with the labs and the plan to figure out what do we need to do to lower inflammation, change her metabolics, change blood sugar if that matters, those different things. So we can not only see the labs change, but see drop in visceral fat mass, see drop in total body fat, see drop in body fat mass. Okay. Next, if we scroll down, we'll stick with hers. If you scroll down next, there's segmental fat analysis. Oop. Here we go. So now we can see this person has 41% body fat, too high. Well, how is it distributed? Well, the trunk has, 187% more fat on it than it should. Okay, so that's an area that definitely has too much. Well, look, the arms have 174% more than they should. So this person has a lot of fat in the trunk, but also way too much fat on her arms. Okay, and then even the legs have too much as well, but you're going to win. You could get more off this person if we're taking off the trunk and the arms. And so we can't be specific in terms of like, hey, let's just remove right arm fat. We can't do that. But as you're changing your health and you're losing fat, where there's more fat, you're likely to lose more from that area or those areas. Moving down, basal metabolic rate. Okay, so basal metabolic rate is the calories you burn at rest. This person, if they're in a coma, burns 2,055 calories a day. So that helps us know, okay, we need to fuel this person. If we don't want them to lose weight and lose protein, we need to fuel them so that they're getting that fuel each day so they can sustain the muscle mass that they have. So this is the first person we looked at with the 99 pounds of muscle. So take note of the muscle mass and metabolic rate. Then if we move down to our high fat female, she has only a 1381 calorie metabolic rate. Now, if she loses fat and gains muscle mass, the metabolic rate will go up because muscle is more metabolically active than fat. And so it requires more fuel or input each day to sustain that increased muscle mass. So if you're making changes to your body composition and you're changing fat into muscle and you're hungrier, don't freak out about, oh, I can't eat more, I won't lose weight. Being hungrier could be a good sign that you're building muscle, and it's asking you, hey, you need to eat more than you have historically because you have more muscle than you've had historically. And to sustain that or keep the gains you've made, you need to eat more to fuel that. Okay. And then we'll skip some of the other stuff, but the last marker I want to focus on is the whole body phase angle. And this is a huge reason why I got this machine, because again, the research ties the phase angle to cancer risk, autoimmune risk, systemic inflammatory risk. There's even studies that show that phase angle accurately predicted upon hospital entry who's going to die of COVID within 90 days and who's not. And that study ended with every hospital should run this test on patients at first presentation in the hospital with COVID. So it's very powerful. And what we want to see, a healthy phase angle is 5.4 to 7. Okay. And you've all heard of leaky gut, right? And you know the dangers of leaky gut and how destructive it can be to your health. Well, phase angle is a measure of cellular health. Okay. So this is basically telling you, do you have leaky cells or not? And if you have leaky cells, because we are just a bag of trillions of cells, if our cells are unhealthy, we're unhealthy, right? So the phase angle helps us understand cell health. We don't want to have leaky cells. We want to have robust cells. This person has nice, healthy cells. All right. If we go to our too high visceral fat female, her phase angle, not good, 4.5. Okay. We want to be 5.4 to 7 for health. If you drop between 4.4 and 5.4 is kind of what would be considered functionally low. And then the research says 4.4 or less is lab low, okay, or dangerous. So this person is not in good shape from a cell health standpoint, needs to improve their cell health. And then our guy we talked about earlier, with the unhealthy kidneys and the high levels of extracellular water, that this guy has lab low phase angle, so leaky cells, unhealthy cells, and needs to improve cell health, which would improve overall health, which would lead to improved kidney health and other issues going on in the person. So awesome additional marker to add to what we're doing along with our inflammatory markers in our labs to observe improved overall health, decreased inflammation, decreased disease risk. And studies even say that you can use this phase angle marker as a non-invasive way to get an idea of someone's inflammatory status compared to running a C-reactive protein through the blood, right? Because that's invasive through a needle puncture of your vein. Here's a non-invasive way to run bioimpedance, measure your phase angle, measure your cellular health, and take action from there.